Hi, everyone. Today we have David Skudneski. He had an absolute connection experience. Some people call it a near-death experience or death experience, and we're just going to jump right into it. If you could tell us what happened to you, David, and then afterwards, I know we have a lot more to talk about.
Thanks, Amalia. I appreciate it. Yeah, so as you brought up the absolute connection experience, I knew, I've always imagined that there's so much more going on in life, my life, everybody's life, and that everyone has a connection with one another. So that's been kind of an aim for mine. So 2 years ago, February 1st, 2019, dealing with the stresses of everyday living, and I needed to go exercise, which I've done for decades. And I took off on a bike ride with a bike that was designed to add stability, called a fat tire bike. It was nighttime, pretty cold. So I had these special grips or mitts that cover the handlebars so that my hands can stay protected. So I take off for a ride and I'm just cruising along, and it's dark and I have my lights on and everything else. And I'm comfortable where I was riding. I've done it thousands of times and hundreds of times at night. So as I'm riding down the concrete pathway there, it's about 8 feet wide, plenty of room. I hit black ice, or what I imagine to be black ice, and skidded off the trail, and my front tire hit a log, because I went back and looked, hit a frozen log in the ground, and I got catapulted onto the top of my head, like whiplash onto my head. And when I hit the ground with the top of my head, I heard this snap, and my neck got really, really tight, and I knew that I had broken my neck. And then everything went empty, and empty of even the most simplest color. Maybe just what that wind down here. Okay, so I hit my head, and I'm now everything is empty of everything. It's void. I don't know the word for it, but there's not even the color black or darkness. Everything's empty, and then everything becomes this amazing gold white light. And it was everything. There was no pain in me at all. I was completely free, and I was just like looking around and moving around. And walking's not the actual correct word. I'm moving around, and everything is beautiful. And it's the most great landscape that I've ever seen in my lifetime. And I've been all over the world, and I've seen beautiful landscapes, and I've had beautiful experiences. I have children, love my kids more than anything else. And it's just like, wow, this is excellent. And I'm happy, and I'm just completely at bliss. And I'm thinking to myself, I am at bliss. I've never felt such an experience before, even though I've certainly experienced love and joy and happiness and success. And it was like, this is amazing. And I remember thinking to myself how everything is ease. And I'm thinking, there's no burden here. There's none whatsoever. And I'm just enjoying myself in this realm. And the realm is so much greater. I call it the presence realm. And I'll get to that in a second. And then there's this earth realm that we live in day to day. And both of those are a form of consciousness. But because this is again my belief, we're so tied to this level of consciousness that we call the physical realm, that we spend most of our time living in and reacting to this kind of lifestyle called the earth realm. And in this presence realm, if I want to experience something, as I think it, everything becomes it. And I am presence, and and presence is me. There's no separation whatsoever. And that's why I call it the absolute connection experience. It's like, wow, this is where we are. And I know that there's another realm called the earth realm. I know that I'm in this other realm, and I know I've been there before, and it feels very, very comfortable to me. So I'm thinking, okay, I've enjoyed myself, and I know that there's something more. And I know it's like, when I say out there, to move in that direction, to go to this location, I know that it's me imagining it and then realizing it. And it's manifesting isn't even quite the right word, because manifestation happens immediately. And there's no lack there. There's no fear there. It's just whatever good thing you want to experience. And I think this is a belief part of it. Some of the stuff I'm telling you now is the stuff that I actually experienced. And then my belief part of it is me coming from this earth realm, is I have practiced trying to be a good guy for my whole life. And I've read all the different sacred books of the world, and I've read the quantum physics and the quantum mechanics, and it all ties together to me. I can see where it ties together. And so I try to do good. I mean, people, I've been generous with people, with my own finances and my, volunteers. So I've tried to do good. And I've had the fortunate ability to be with women from all kinds of different backgrounds, all kinds of different races, all kinds of different cultures, all kinds of different religions. And it doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is the principles of life: love, joy, peace, commitment, this desire to have something greater, but also have other people have something greater for themselves. And I'm willing to put my energy and practice and my resources towards that. So that's kind of like how I like to think of my life. And I would say my close friends would say the same thing about me. So that's kind of a background. So did that matter? That's why I wound up in this presence realm, this blissful place? Maybe. I don't know. Is it that, quote, preparing for the Lord? Maybe. I can't discount it, because I do believe that's true. So I'm in this presence realm, and I'm getting ready to charge off and leave completely the earth realm. And presence and I can't say it came up to me, but made its presence within me. And I became the presence within it. And there was no separation. And it said, you have options. It's like, oh, I hadn't considered that. And then it says, sure, you can leave, you can take off and enjoy yourself. It's like, okay. And then it said, or you can come back as a quadriplegic with a tube down my throat to help me breathe. And I don't want to do that. It just didn't seem like a good option. And then it was, or you can go back and heal. It's like, I'll choose 3. I'll go back and heal. And then immediately, because I'm laying on this ground, this concrete ground, or maybe it was the dirt, I don't remember. And I'm laying on my left shoulder, and I still have my eyes closed because I knew that I broke my neck. I mean, all my awareness was still there. The awareness of the presence realm wasn't there, although I recalled it. I knew that it happened. I had this amazing experience. So I wiggled my toes, and I could. So I sat up, and I, okay. And then somehow I grabbed my cell phone off my bike, because where I had it attached to my bike is very difficult to remove even while I'm wide awake. But I got it, and I called 911, and then I called my then girlfriend, and then I called my brother, and she didn't answer because she was teaching a seminar. And I called my brother, and I explained him what happened. He was on his way up to the mountains. I live in Colorado. And then I called my then girlfriend back. She didn't answer because she's still teaching. And then I called my brother back, and I told him the same story. And I learned this later because I don't have any recollection of doing that. So I'm in what we call the paradox. I'm between, because I'm not conscious, but I'm not unconscious. And something is really something is really leading me. So, and by the way, I want to make a real quick note about prayer and people praying, because I want to make sure that that gets in there. So the paramedics arrived, and my nephew Rumi and his girlfriend arrived about the same time the paramedics did, and I'm maybe 10 miles away from my house on my bike, and the paramedics started attending to me. And again, I'm only in and out of consciousness at this point, and I remember them putting the brace around my neck, and I kind of recall saying, I think I broke my neck, or not think, I broke my neck. And then they put me on the gurney, the collapsible gurney, and they're putting me in the ambulance. Now, I'm a pretty sensitive guy, and I don't like making people feel uncomfortable at all, because I always want people to feel good around me. I'm a people pleaser. And so as they're loading me in, they slam me, what I think is they slam me in, and I said, guys, you have to be more careful with me. I broke my neck. And they were 28s, 30 somethings, and they both looked at me like they really got it. So they were much more gentle with me. We get to this medical center of Aurora, and playfully I say this, the reason I can remember that is while I was post-surgery, they kept asking me, do you know where you are? And I had to repeat where I was, and I joked about it to them. I said, I think this is part of your marketing campaign to get me to keep saying this. So I remember, so it's probably 8:30, 9 o'clock, and I know that my neck is broken, and again, I'm in and out of this part of it. And I know that my brother is there. I have two brothers, but Sandy's there, my brother Scott's there, my girlfriend Terry, she's there, and I guess a lot of people are there, but I don't remember the people being there. And they decide that I'm going to have surgery. This was Friday night. They're going to have surgery Saturday morning. They do, I don't know if it was an epidural. No, it wouldn't be that. The anesthesiologist came in, and they basically started putting me under. And I remember being part of that. And then surgeries took about 8.5 hours, and they literally reattached my skull to my spine because it had been disconnected. It was called an internal decapitation. And the very first time I heard the doctor say that, it was like, well, I think I'm going to be sick, because my head is off, or was off. So, and again, I say this, thank so much to God. You know, whenever and we all, I think we all get to this, whenever I'm in the space where I feel like I'm not being heard or attended to by something greater than me, I remember that I died, or almost died, or, you know, had this connection. And then in the experience I had was such great experience, and I knew there was a level of consciousness that I am living in, and everybody is living in every single moment. But because of our, you know, the way we get distracted so easily in our days, I know that that takes us away from that blissful heavenly state. So they put my head back on, and we're talking about it, and you know, I was intubated, and I think the intubation was probably the most troubling thing, because it was so hard for me to breathe, and I felt like I was suffocating. So they gave me this long tube, and I would just stick it down my throat and suck the phlegm out whenever I thought I was just going to suffocate. And I needed it quite regularly. And of course, they're trying to keep me still because they just reattached my neck. And by the way, there's titanium. There's a 7-inch scar in the back of my head. And there's two titanium rods, a plate, and screws that were, the screws and the titanium was attached to my lower cervical C5, 6, and 7. So that C1, 2, 3 were reattached so that my head literally wouldn't come off. And there was something about that. So when I'm in the shower I'm in the shower and I would just barely lean over. I could feel like my head was trying to move off my spine. I could feel it. It's like, I don't want to lean over. And then I had to stay upright the whole time. Even while I was sleeping, I just was staying upright, and I had to stay that way. I think I slept that way for 3 weeks before I was allowed to lay sideways or even lay flat, which, made it difficult to sleep. But, considering I was still back on the planet, which I appreciated, I did. So, all right. So I am now in post-surgery and I feel amazing. And less than 24 hours, I started asking, how soon could I get out of here? And they thought I was kidding. I go, no, I want to leave. And they said, we don't even have you on pain meds. We have you on morphine, a drip line. We have to get you on the pills, orals. I said, well, let's get started right now. So, they get a hold of Dr. James Stephen. He needs to get credit because this guy's a miracle. And I want to say something about that too. And Dr. James Stephen said, because thank goodness you have I've been working out my whole life. And I worked out, and I'm working out my neck. It's still so the Monday before this Friday accident, I'm thinking, why do I still work out my neck? Because I played sports, and having a strong neck was definitely helpful. But I'm saying, why do I still do this? So anyway, Dr. James Stevens says, thank goodness you have a strong neck, because that probably saved your life. And the point being on that is this paradox we live on the earth and we live in the presence realm. This paradox that we live right between the two. And we live in that realm where we put our consciousness. And that's really important, because the more time we can spend with our consciousness in the presence, the God, the existence, the life realm, the greater and easier it is for us to maintain our sanity on this planet. That's what I believe. Again, that's my belief. So I'm there, and I have people, I have a sister too, and I have people, hundreds of people praying for me, and I could feel their prayers lifting me up. So I could feel that. I was doing the same with myself. In fact, oh, by the way, so right before I have surgery, and again, I've spent a lot of time in meditation and understanding God. They said, we're going to have surgery. And I'm thinking, I checked in with my body. Do I need this surgery? That's because I'm thinking maybe I could heal myself anyway, because when presence, God says, go back and heal. I knew it was going to be so easy. I was actually going to be embarrassed how easy it was going to be. I knew it was going to happen. And of course it did happen. So there I am. I'm checking in. My body gives me a resounding, yes, you need to have the surgery. It's like, okay, so I had the surgery. So post-op, now I'm feeling uplifted. I need to have I can feel the prayers happening. I'm on orals now. And then less than 72 hours, I am leaving that medical center of Aurora for home. And we drive out and I go back. And then 2 days later, I'm back at work. And 2 days after that, I'm working out again. So it's like, my docs didn't want to do that, but I felt fine. So I'm there now, and there was another point I wanted to make about this. So can we pause it just for a moment? So I'm back in my workaday life, and I'm working out, and I was prescribed, I don't know, one of those oxytocin, I don't know what, no, that's not the word. Oxycodone, a strong pain med. And I don't like pain meds. I rarely take anything. So I agreed that I would take them for 5 days, anticipating that it was to be painful. Well, it wasn't painful. And so I went to immediately 5 days after I'm off, and I went on to over-the-counter Tylenol probably, and I was on that for 5 days, and I stopped using it because I had no pain. I don't remember having any pain. I'm healed. It's like done. And so today, and this is kind of a side note, I'm doing everything I can to learn more about how we do that. Anyone can do this. I don't want to get all scriptural on people, but there's a quote in Luke of the Christian part of the Bible, Luke 17:20-21, the kingdom of God is within you. Everyone. There's no one is separated from that kingdom of God is within us. And I want to learn, and when you can use whatever term is most useful to you for God. For me, it's presence. The formal is presence. So that presence has the ability, because it's pure energy, it has the ability to manifest and to do anything it wants in an infinite number of possibilities, one of which is immediately can heal. So that is what I experienced. And now that's just what my aim for the rest of my life is to do. I call it my second adulthood, and I'm going in that direction. Right or wrong, I think it's right. That's what I'm going to do. And the more I believe that myself and other people do that, the greater we're going to have for this world. Because we all know it's pretty confusing right now, and pretty loud and pretty scary, and it's intimidating. And it's like, who are we? Well, we're more. We're a lot more. We're a lot more than the physical. The physical, as I like to describe, the physical realm, this material realm. If I don't know if you can see any shadows, maybe on this, right? Yeah, you can see that shadow right above my hand. That shadow right there is the equivalent to how we think life is on this planet, on this earth realm. We know that shadow exists, but it really has no significance that it's going to really be ourselves. This earth realm compared to that presence realm, which is our consciousness that lives in us, that is us, that is the difference analogously to that earth realm to the presence realm. We're so much more. And we as a species called humans, the spiritual humanus is going to become that. This is going to be the second coming of fire, not just the second coming of Jesus. This is the second coming of all life. We're going to elevate ourselves beyond this material realm into the presence realm. And now we know that, people who study quantum physics know that's absolutely true. Because again, I know I'm getting a little bit off it, when we look at what material realm is, it's 99.9999999% space. And it could be completely space, because our ability to measure it probably goes to this completely space. And there is no real material realm. There is a spiritual realm. There is a energy realm. And that is where we're headed, I believe. And I'm making that part of my life. Back to the story. So there I am. My head's reattached. I'm making amazing progress. People know, it's just like, wow, this is cool. And I thank God for the biomechanics of my body. I thank God for the mechanics of the reconstruction of my body from the Dr. James Stephen and all the anesthesiologists and nurses, everyone who helped me be put back together. So I'm back together. We have these little vertebral arteries that fit through these little tiny spaces on the ends, these islets on the end of C1, which crushed on my case. One is completely blocked or occluded, as it was explained to me medically. It's occluded. I looked right at James. I go, Dr. James, I said, would it be better if that were open? And he said, he didn't say anything. I go, would it be better if that were reopened? Because I'm going to do this prayer meditation thing I do. And he said, well, if a piece breaks off, you could have a stroke and die. And since I saw what death was, it was not any sort of invitation to me. It was like intimidating. It's like, no, okay, fine, I don't care. So I said, would it be better? He goes, yeah, it would be better. So advance 2 months to the CTA scan that I then had done on me, and it was, okay, well, that dude's open. And when I say that, I have this in medical records and I'll figure out a way to get it to you. I'll have this so you can have it, because I'm going to go, because we love proof. There's nothing wrong with having proof, but we need to see proof because it helps change our minds, change our energy. And that's what we're here to do. So 4 months later, 8 months later, the CTA scan shows that this occluded, blocked artery is open and no one can explain it. And I asked the doctor, said, we call this another miracle? And he's just kind of shrugged his shoulders and go, why? I said, I'm going to call it a miracle. Yeah, okay. Because it was blocked, it was crushed, and now it's open and no one can explain it. And again, I have it somewhere. I had it, and then I was in the process of moving, so it's missing again, but I'll get that to you. And I'll post this because I think it's a very important piece of information that people need to see. All right, so now 8-10 months are on. Within, I don't know, again, I work out all the time and that's part of my being. I go back, I'm not gonna ride a bike again because I think that would be kind of crazy. And I was told if I have another accident, the area where they put my head back together probably won't break, but the area right below it probably will break because there would be so much torque, on it, it would just snap again. So I stayed off biking, but I did. We have this thing we call Red Rocks in Colorado, where people hear about it mostly through having concerts there. There are these steps, 387 steps, and they go up. So I started exercising there, and my brother came with me, and we just kept doing that. And again, I don't care. I don't care. I don't keep track of my physical abilities anymore. So 2 months into that, I'm already set the record, the course record on that thing. It's like, okay, so now I know I'm back to complete health. Just as far as the aerobic abilities, I'm back. So I just keep, working out, and now I keep working all the time. And, that's part of it. That's part of my makeup. So June 20, this happened in February, December of 2019. I'm at a Dr. Joe Dispenza Cancun trip in Mexico, so that, because now that I have X, I want to go learn more. And I'm down there. It's a prayer meditation group, and I'm I'm telling people he's great. If he resonates with you, go do this beginning, his intermediate classes, go do his advanced courses, go do it, and and again, I don't care if you're Muslim, Jewish, Christian, agnostic, atheist. I don't care what spiritual type you have, what belief you have. Do the thing that propels you further to be happier, to be more abundant, to be powerful, to be more loving. Do those things. What resonates with a person, and it's individualized, do that. And you will know, because it'll resonate in your body if it's helpful and useful. What will you get? Happier, better health, ease of living. It'll be more joyful and less of a burden. That's just one of the things that we do by getting into this presence realm. All right, so I'm down in Cancun, and we're meditating. I think we almost did in a 7-day, so actually a 6-day period. We're meditating and praying, and we're praying. We actually it's a cool thing they do there. They bring in the locals to have the kids, there's an orphanage there. And it's such a cool thing. And this is where we're headed as a planet. We're praying for these children. We're praying for these adults. We're praying for these people. We're praying for other people. I call him Carlos. He's from Costa Rica. I don't remember if that's his real name. He was in my group, and there were like 7 of us in the group. There were over 1,000 of us in this group. And there were 400 people who administering, pod group leaders there who are helping us. And I just thought of another thing. Hang on. Singapore. Okay, so we're praying for these people, and now we're back in a meditation. And again, oh yeah, I can't turn my head too well anymore because I have titanium. So anyway, so we're in the the meditation, and we did about 100 hours in 6 days. So that's a lot of prayer and meditation. That's 16 hours or so a day. And then what I would do I pray and meditate, I just do, because I love that realm. So I'm in like day 5, and presence comes to me and said, "Hey, Dave." Now again, this is with a playful attitude. "Hey, Dave, when I said go back and heal, I didn't mean just you." so it was like, okay, I got it. So that is why I am motivated to go explain this to people. And like I said, I'm writing a book to show how simple it is. And because I've experienced in other people's religions, I've read your sacred books when most even haven't. No matter what religion it is, a lot of people haven't read their sacred books. They know they're there. So I've read it, and I know the commonalities there, and I know those commonalities fit together pretty neatly in my understanding. So that's why I'm talking to you. That's why I'm talking. I love talking about this, because this is where we're headed as a race of humans. That's it. We're going that way, or we're going to leave. We're going to eliminate ourselves. We don't have to. It's not predestined. Our predestiny, when people talk about destiny, it's fated. Our destiny is becoming the spiritual human. That's our destiny. We make it. We determine what matters in the planet. We are the matter makers in so many more ways than just that we make matter. We decide what happens. We choose to make what's important. When we have to align ourselves with how life is, well, life is peaceful. And again, I know I'm getting off a little bit off my NDE part, the ACE part, but we are unlimited. Think about the whole universe, am I getting off too much? Okay, so we are, if you believe in science, and I do, and if you believe in the how God showed up in people's religions, which I do, I can see it. We are that point that is infinitesimal, that does not exist, that came from nothing. But beyond the nothing, beyond the void, is complete light, and complete love, and complete joy, and complete peace, because there is no adversary to all that is, because all that is everything. I mean, there's no way we can separate it. And I don't believe, and I never have believed there's an adversary. Certainly, I've had life try to teach it to me that there's some adversary out against us. Our own adversaries are what we create as separateness from me to you. It's like, well, you're over there and I'm over here, and I have certain suspicions of you. That's not how it's going to work. That's not how we're going to liberate ourselves. We're going to liberate ourselves so that we came from peace. We came from an existence that has no adversary. Maybe we want to use that in this world, this material realm. I believe that's what we need to do. We have the power. When I was a little kid and I would get abraded or lacerated, and it healed, or I broke my arm like that, and it stuck out. It went back together. It was stronger. Something's healing us, and something's guiding the planets, and something's moving everything. And beyond all that, when we go back 13.8 billion years now, it came from nothing. And that goes back to that 99.9999% thing. It came from nothing. There's nothing against us. We are that part of us that is consciousness, that knows that we're consciousness, if we'll only spend some time there and dwell on it. And the amount of time that we spend dwelling into that level of, you're there, I'm here, but we're all connected inside that. When we spend time in that understanding, dwelling in it, marinating it, we become it. And the amount of time we have to spend in that is infinitesimal. We just need to get an infinitesimal little piece of it, and suddenly our world changes. Suddenly, it's as simple as, and most of us, and I think all of us have experienced, we just have a sudden moment, a thought that changes everything and can propel us to the next intention we have. Because as I see it, there's me and you, there's something that's greater than me and you, and there's the power that's greater than me and you, that is a loving power, power loving. And it's waiting for us to use it. And we can access it by being silent. Just gotta be silent, gotta be gentle, gotta be loving. And, and it's not love like I love you. I love you though, I do love you. But that what holds the hydrogen and the oxygen atoms together so that we can create water? Just it's something greater, it's something that, yeah, it's actually beneficial. We need to get that same concept within our own lives. We need to dwell in that place in our own lives so we can manifest and access and use this power that's greater than us to have a better life. And that's, I think that's it. Is some of the, I'll speak to the audience right now. If you're listening to this, and this resonates with you, take it as it accesses yourself to another higher vibration, and you'll know. Let it vibrate in you. Just let it raise you, and it will. All you have to do is the intention. Don't think about how it has to be done. Just have the intention that you want to experience, and you will experience it. It's just that simple. I'm not discounting. Okay, as soon as we turn this off, it's like, oh, we're back in the realm. We're back in the realm. We look around, we see, oh, this is like 5 seconds ago. Well, okay, well, my life. No. If you can get anything from this, take this next moment after you stop this and go, okay, what did he say? Something resonated in me. Have that, dwell there, maintain that so that you can access it. And then if you choose you want to experience something more, have that intention in heart. As I had said earlier, we were talking off camera, that sentelligence, because our analytical brain wants to grab everything. So make it sentelligence that runs through us, that's sentiments and the analytical part of us, so that we're all connected in this one simple thing called wholeness that manifests as our body. We, on this planet, we must have a body. That's one of the requirements. You have to manifest in a body to experience the earth realm. But this consciousness called earth realm is not all we are. It's a fraction of who we are. We're so much more. Oh, so I missed this part of it. When I'm in this realm, when I'm first in bliss, I can feel, when I say like presence all around me, hundreds of millions or more. I can feel individualized presences everywhere. And I'm like, I can feel it. It's like, wow, this is awesome. And that's in people who are willing are going to experience that. That's because it exists. And don't even limit my understanding to your understanding. You want billions? Have billions. It doesn't matter because it's all the same. It's all the same. I'll just leave it there. It's all the same. So I pass through this area that goes red to orange to yellow. It's just like, oh, that was an interesting thing. And that was the only thing that kind of felt ominous, only because I was saying, what's happening here? So even on this other side, I know I take my individualize what we call the ego in there. No, you don't even have to take that in there. But my point of telling you that is, I knew that I was still experiencing that, even though it was bliss, but it was about me. It wasn't about that place, it was me. And then I passed through that. And that's when I hit this amazing beauty. It's when I'm doing that because where I was to go was like over there somewhere. And that's where the next realm for me was. But I chose to come back because, well, that's just kind of how I am. When I'm not finished with something, I don't leave. So anyway, so I think I just need to take a pause.
Thank you, David.
Yeah, so, and that is what I believe. I do. I look, when I look, we're off camera, right?
We're on camera. Let me pause the camera.
Okay.
So again, this is David Skudneski. We took a little pause and we're going to take this time to explain why we're doing this. First of all, for me as a hypnotherapist, I had anxiety for about 18 months and it took a long time to figure out what to do. Some of it was nutritional, some of it was listening to stories like David. So I thought, I want to do this. I want to share more stories like David to remind people that there's not just this world, this is the world of tests, but there's something else beyond our understanding. And David visited that place. So that's why I want to share stories like David. So we remember that all of us have challenges. All of us are struggling, whether it's anxiety, depression, financial, physical, mental. I feel like listening to David is really helpful. And I want to say how you can get a hold of David if you need him. Obviously, we're going to have things in the comments. But my email is growthfactor.org@gmail.com if you need help. And now David's going to explain how you can reach him and we're going to continue his story. My question, once he says that, is going to be, we're going to ask more about his death experience or his absolute connection experience, the landscape and the light that he saw. But can you tell us how to get in touch with you, David, and then tell us more about your experience?
Sure. Thanks a lot, Amalia. Appreciate it. So you can get a hold of me. It's Sheepdog Dave, the number one, Sheepdog Dave 1@gmail.com. So the more concise, the better, because I have my job going on and I stay busy, especially in the summer months. I work in construction. There was a small construction company. So getting back to the near-death experience, the absolute connection experience, maybe a month ago, a friend of mine who works at Starbucks asked me if I'd heard of Eben Alexander, and I had not. Yeah, and she gave me the thumbs up, and I downloaded it to Audible, and I thought I would listen to it, and I started listening to it finally, and parts of it. And one of the things that stood out in my mind about it was, and I didn't even think about it, and it went back to what I said earlier about the amazingly quick healing of an injury that should have left me dead. 3 different ways: C1, C2, C3. They're all deadly. They're just deadly. And if you make it out, you're usually stuck to a tube to breathe for a person. So maybe I want to talk about how. No, I'll finish that with Dr. Alexander, and he was a medical doctor. So he talks about his near-death experience, and one of the things that came out of his book, and I don't remember the title, you can find it, was people's abilities. They just seem to be highly energetic afterwards, and I associate that with the experience I had healed me incredibly fast, and I think and not just so fast, but like 100% sure. I wasn't going to debate it with anybody. I knew I would heal from something that was catastrophic, but didn't feel any effects from, aside from the fact that, like I said, my neck's stiff because I have titanium that restricts my movement. So that was one of the things. So I think that energy of experience it, and we were talking about off camera, for people, and you were just bringing this up, for people who are, especially people who have medical conditions, it's important to remember. And when I say remember, it's like put yourself back into the member of your wholeness, because in actuality, we are not on this quote divine plane, the real plane, the presence plane. We are only whole. Presence only recognizes us as whole, that we're perfect. That does not mean that we don't have diseases, diseases. And one of the main points that came out of me being in this presence realm was how easy it was. Everything was ease. So in the presence realm, it's ease. And if you want to, someone asked me, what's your mantra? which, mantra is the word you keep to yourself, basically, that creates energy for yourself. You're not supposed to share it. I'll share my mantra because I never really follow any rules. So, and I think that helped me. Ease. Everything is ease. And we have to get into that heart set. And it's better, and heart and mindset, but get into that heart set that things are ease. There's a power within us that's ease. And that, instead of living from the sense world, the 3D world, live from the 5D world, because in it, we are whole. The universe, God, presence is whole right now. We can't change that. It is that way for eternity, and we're in for infinity, and we're in both of those. But even beyond infinity and eternity is that point from which everything manifests, including space. For people who've read quantum physics and understand it, when whatever moved, and it's, people call it the Big Bang, or scientists call it singularity. Well, my analytical brain said, okay, I grabbed the singularity, so I start measuring things because it's one. It's more than that for me. I call it, and I created a word, only-arity, because only can't be measured. And this thing called presence can't be measured because it's immeasurable, it's infinity, it's eternal, and that's the way it's going to stay. And when my analytical brain tries to grab only-arity, it grasps at nothing, it grasps at space. So, and I love that because it turns my brain, my sense brain off, turns my presence brain, that's what I'm going to call it, on. And so we're in the presence realm where everything is whole, perfect, complete, love, power, love, powerful love, a loving power, presence, understands us, all knowing, that's us. To get back to that. So that's where I encourage everybody, including myself, even when you don't want to do it, get back into that, because it takes that, going biblical, that mustard seed, that tiny infinitesimal piece to get us. We just need to get a grasp of it, just a tiniest bit, and it'll manifest for us. And it manifests for us in all kinds of mundane ways. And I'll give you some examples. So, and this is prior, and I've been interested in this all my adult life. I was going on a camping trip a few years ago, and I love reading, I love writing, and I need glasses every now and then so that I can see. And if I'm in a dark room, like so many people my age, we need to have magnifying glasses to read and to write. I got to the campground it was probably 2.5 hours away from where I live. I'm not going back. The closest place in town is probably 45 minutes away. I don't feel like going into town. And I thought, all right, I'll just have to read outside and, find good light. And, that'll be all right. I was biking a lot. So I take off for a bike ride up a mountain pass nearby where we were staying. And it's hot, and I'm going up this mountain pass, and it takes a long time, and it starts getting hotter and hotter. And I get to the top, and I'm thinking, and I take X amount of water. I usually have 2 1-liter water bottles. That's usually enough. Well, it's hotter than I anticipated it was going to be, but I keep going up, and I'm thinking I'll get to the top of the pass. I'll go down the mountain pass, and then I'll find a place for water. Well, that didn't happen. I kept going, still no place. Now I'm getting kind of panicky because because I've worked out a lot, I know when my body gets in such a deficit for water, it's going to shut down. And I'm hungry, and I know that I'll get panicky when I get too hungry. I am running on fumes. I thought, and now I'm 50 miles or so away, and I have to go back. I'm thinking I can't go forward because I don't even know what's in front of me, because it's the first time I've been on it. So I turn around, and I'm going back up this mountain pass. And I'm going up this pass, I'm going maybe 6-7 miles an hour, and I'm tired, and I'm doing everything, and I'm enjoying myself. And I think that matters. I'm enjoying that I'm outside, and I keep this in my heart set, my mindset, and go, okay, and then as I'm getting to the top, I'm just, I'm going slow enough. I go past, I look down, and I'm thinking, well, I just can't believe what I just saw. So I stop and I back up. There's a brand new pair of reading glasses. Now, let me put that into context. I've seen in this 3.5, 4 hour period, maybe 5 cars. There's not a lot. This is I think it was an early Sunday morning. People are not out. So I pick up the sunglasses. I have back pockets in my bike. So I just look at it and think, of course. So I stick the glasses in my back pocket and I start riding on. And then within a minute, this car pulls up right in front of me, pulls over. And I'm like, that's kind of perplexing. It was just kind of odd. And I thought, I'm going to ask him if he has any water. So he gets out. I go up to him and I said, dude, look, I'm a long way from finishing my bike ride. Do you have any water? And he looked at me and he says, I do. I have special water. I'm thinking, special water? He goes, yeah. I go, what do you mean by special water? He says, I have electrolyte water. Wow, I didn't know about that. I said, like electrolytes? Because that's what my body's starving for right now. He goes, yeah. And he pops it open. He said, I just bought them. He said, and they're on ice. He said, they're really cold. And he has 3 gallons of it. And I said, well, he said, fill your bottles up, drink as much as you want. And I said, I forget what his name. I go, and so I told him what I just had been, my experience about the glasses. This is some random guy, but I'm so excited about this story. I said, you are my angel. I said, you are my angel. And I explained to him why, and he's an artist. He was a band member and he was on his way home. And, so he's got this artistic side of him and he's open to what I'm telling him. And we just had this cool experience. I forget his name now, but I just said thanks. We gave each other a hug and, I took off and he took off. It was just perfect. It was just perfect. All right. So last year on this day, because my Facebook thing reminded me, I went hiking on a 14 with my brother, Sam. He's freaking great guy, great shape. And we take off. We're going to go climb a 14er in the snow because we know there's snow. And we go up and we know there are going to be very few people because it's early. And we get to, no, I'm sorry. This was December 31st that we did this. This was December 31st. It's freezing cold. And we go to the top, or almost to the top. And I had my phone in my back pocket. Yeah, I'm sorry. We might have to delete that. But so we get almost to the top. And I have my phone. And Sam takes off. And, we're going through the snow. And, it's just, we just want to go up there for a New Year's Eve ride or climb. And we don't see anybody. So, which is pretty typical that time of the year. And so I'm going down. I think I'm gonna just sit on my butt and slide down the snow and just have fun. So I can go fast. So I do. And and then I get up and I'm trying to catch my brother because he's in front of me. And I finally catch up when we're walking down there. And then we run into these 2 people who are novices. They're going up late, and we're trying to explain to them, look, you need to have water. It's like 12 o'clock in the afternoon, 1 o'clock. So you need to have water. They don't know how to put their hiking, their snow boots, or not snow boots, snowshoes on. We're showing them how to do that. And then I reach back to my pocket to see what time it is. I don't have my phone. It's like, whoa, okay. So I'm exhausted. And okay, because we're going through, I don't have snow boots or snowshoes on. We're just stepping, step in this, 2 feet of snow, stepping. It's hard work. And I'm exhausted. I got to find my phone. I got to go back up. Now I'm at 11,000 feet. I have to go back up to maybe 13,500 feet. So I'm going up. It's getting warmer. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to use this technique I know. And so I sat down on the rock that was sitting there. And I did. I went through my quick prayer. Maybe it took 15 minutes. And then I said, and I let it go. And then I started walking. Here come two people down, man and a woman, maybe 30. And I said, I looked right at them and I said, excuse me. Now, the space that I'm talking about is probably 3.5 miles by half a mile wide. I said, you wouldn't happen to found a phone, did you? Blue case? They looked at me and go, yeah, we did. I said, it's my phone. I said, may I please have it? Of course you may. And I told them the story, what had happened. So when we're in alignment, yes, it can be mundane. Yes, I don't know what the odds are. The odds are large. They're just large. However, that's what I experienced. These people who are also connected in this field, this God, this presence, acquired my phone and gave me my phone without me having to worry about it. And without me having to go back to the top, I just stuck it in my pocket. I don't know if I hugged them or not, maybe probably not, because they had masks on, so I was respecting that. And then, I just, went back down the mountain with my phone and I just said, yep, thank you, presence. And when the gratitude part, this is big. We heard this. So people are in this heart-set, this mindset. Gratitude's a big deal. Gratitude sets in, we personally as human beings, when someone's grateful that we've done something for and they acknowledge us, whether it's our son, our daughter, a friend, someone who doesn't like us, but someone who gives us gratitude, we feel appreciated. We feel elevated because of it. And I believe presence feels the same way. And gratitude isn't, we have to ingratiate ourselves to presence because it's whole, perfect, complete. It's the point of us that is grateful. And grateful is wholeness. Grateful is pleasurable, and it puts us in alignment with everything, with presence itself, which allows it to function and manifest in our lives. And I have more experiences like these that I've had in my life. I'm going to give you one. And again, it's our intention for good. I am 10 years old. I'm in 5th grade. We're taking first aid and we're talking about lacerations. And this is the empath, the highly sensitive part of it. And so we're talking about lacerations and I'm just on this thinking, wow, I wonder what that's like to have a laceration. I was feeling it. I could sense it in my body and I didn't really like it. And lo and behold, a few days later, I'm playing in the backyard and I gash my leg, takes 14 stitches, 5 inside, because it was so deep, 5 inside and 9 on the outside. I got a gash on my lower leg about that deep or that long, and they had to sew it back together. And I'm grateful that they did. Again, I'm grateful that the medical community can do this kind of work. And I'm grateful that my body, I'm not thinking about this as a kid. I'm 10. I'm 10. I don't have any clue about it. Well, next year, we're in first aid again. Now I'm in 6th grade, and we're talking about fractures, bones. Sure, you can know where I am in a tree. I don't know why I'm in there. I can see I have a string attached to a broom and I'm going to float down. I crash. I break my arms. It's just broken. It's like, but I was imagining what it felt like prior to that. Yes, the next year I'm in first aid again. And now I'm in, 5th, 6th, 7th grade. And I'm just kind of wondering, we're talking about compound fractures. Yeah, I have a compound fracture. 2 days later, my arm is like that. The bone is sticking out of it. The guy the police officer who picked me up was the same guy who picked me up prior to that. And he said to me, perhaps you are liking this kind of attention. And I thought, that hit me, resonated with me. And I said to myself, I don't want this kind of attention anymore. I don't. Okay. So I don't break anything for a long 40 years goes by. We're talking about my neck now. Right prior to that, I'm dealing with some heavy duty issues, and I don't like it. So I'm out for a bike ride just to go, just burn off energy to get. And I love biking, and it puts me in this rhythm. It's very meditative rhythm, and I'm there. And right prior to that, I'm thinking to myself, I have this helmet on, and I've got the helmet tightens down so it stays glued to my head, whether I have the straps on or not. And I'm thinking I should stop and snap that thing shut. I don't, because I was thinking something bad might happen if I don't. That's what I thought. And then literally within a minute, that's when I broke my neck. And and people ask me, well, you probably hit the top of your head without it. No, I found my helmet. It's covered in mud. It was covered in scraped up in mud. So I definitely hit the top of my head with my helmet on, because people said that maybe that's why I broke my neck. No, I think the impact is what broke my neck. But the point being is this. Yeah, right prior to that, I got information, a warning, so to speak, to change my direction, to change what I was doing. And I didn't pay attention to it. And I have noticed in my lifetime, I just thought about what I used to do as a person to negate that. But I have noticed in my lifetime, when I pay attention to it and act accordingly, nothing detrimental has ever happened to me. It is when I don't pay attention and I just, for laziness, for I don't know what, but basically laziness. I don't take heed to it, and I suffer the consequences because of it. And yeah, I did. So I'm trying to stay very aware of this now as a result of my breaking my neck. So hope that was useful.
Yeah, thank you, David. So I think we should do part 2, because I think we're going to have part 3 and part 4, probably 5 and 6 also, because at the break we were talking about so much that I know people are going to want to know has happened to you and your thoughts on it. So I think what we should do is go on to a part 2, but remind people, everyone already knows this, but I've never said this before, but you're supposed to like and subscribe, of course, to press both of those. First of all, because that's how these channels work. Also, I think David should say his email again if you want to contact him, because they should know it's the number 1 or the letter 1. If you could kind of spell it out, if people want to read.
Sure. Yeah. Sheep, SHEEP, dog, DOG, Dave, DAVE. That's D as in David. Sheepdog Dave, the number 1 at gmail.com. Sheep. And the reason I took sheepdog is I'm kind of a cuddly guy. I don't believe in anger. I don't believe in fighting. And I'm doing my best to learn how to protect myself. Because usually I just allow anybody and everyone. I have very, very poor boundaries. And that goes back to sensitive people. But the sheepdog is stuck there amongst the herd, so to speak, of lambs to protect them from the wolves. And there are wolves. I never used to believe there are wolves. There are wolves. So sheepdogdave1 at gmail.com. That's why. Sorry.
I love that. Thank you so much. And we'll, of course, put it in the notes. If you just click the little arrow, there's notes below, and we'll add that, ways that you can get in touch with both of us. So I think we're going to pause. And for everyone who wants part 2, just look at the channel, the name of this channel, and then click on videos, and you'll find the videos there to find Dave for part 2. Thank you, David. We will go on to part 2, and we will pause this. Thanks, everyone. I know you're enjoying David's story. Amazing. Pause it.